All right, good evening and welcome to tonight's meeting of the Lunenburg Select Board. Today is Tuesday, October 14th. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. In accordance with the requirements of the open meeting law, please be advised that this meeting is being recorded and broadcast live over the Lunenburg Public Access channel, on Facebook Live on the Public Access Facebook page, and will be uploaded to the Lunenburg Access YouTube channel after the meeting. The agenda lists all the topics which may be discussed at the meeting and are those reasonably anticipated by the chair. Votes may be taken as a result of these discussions. Not all items listed may in fact be discussed, and other items not listed may also be brought up for discussion to the extent permitted by the open meeting law. We're going to begin tonight with announcements, and I have a couple. Just as a reminder, the Teen Center's 9th annual Shrieks and Creeks Haunted House and Hayride is this Saturday, October 18th from 6:30 to 9:30. If you'd like to help out with the event, you can reach out to Andy at theclubltc.org to get involved. The Master Plan Steering Committee will be hosting a public meeting at Smokestack Roasters to review and gather final thoughts from the town on the master plan that has been in the works for the past 2 years. So if you'd like to participate in the formulation of our master plan document, you should attend that meeting. And that's going to be next Wednesday, October 22nd from 6:30 to 8:30 p.m. 11 a.m. to 12 p.m. for ages up to 5. It'll begin at the library and head to other town buildings for trick-or-treating. The library's 20th birthday party is on Friday, October 24th at 5 p.m. There's going to be cake, activities for all ages, and even a jazz ukulele concert. Or jazookalele, I'm not sure how to actually pronounce it. It's being typed as one word. No, I don't think so either. And finally, the fall 2025 yard waste days are from October 18th this Saturday to December 6th at the landfill on Youngs Road. It's going to be closed, however, on the week of Thanksgiving, and it's open from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. Okay. Scheduled meetings. Up first, we have a license application for Joyce Higgins with Weather Vane Home Services for door-to-door solicitation. And I believe, Joyce, we have you here via Zoom. Are you there? We can't hear you, so you might just have to unmute yourself.
Yes, I'm here.
Okay. To the booth, we might need to turn the volume up just a bit. We can't really hear you. All right. Can you go ahead, Joyce?
Sure. Not really sure. I was just asked to attend the meeting. I'm not sure if you guys had questions.
Yep. Okay. So I'm under the impression that you're partnering with Mass Saves, and you're going to be helping residents sign up for a energy assessment. Is that true?
Yes, so they're able to get an energy assessment every 2 years because they pay into the program monthly on their Unitil bills.
Gotcha. Okay. All right. Awesome. Well, I'll open it up to the board. Are there any questions from the board for Joyce?
I had one question. On your application, you had hours of operation 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. Is that Monday through Friday, or what days are you planning?
It's Monday through Friday, but typically you guys are quite a distance from where I live. So typically it's more like 9:30 to 1:30.
Okay, but it's Monday through Friday, no weekend.
Correct.
Okay.
I have no desire to work weekends.
Any other questions? All right. Well, I think it's a great program, and I think more people need to take advantage of it. I know a lot of people don't, I've heard. With that, is there a motion to approve the license application for door-to-door services for Joyce Higgins with Weather Vane Home Services?
So moved. Second.
Any additional discussion? Those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, no. The motion passes unanimously. All right. Thank you, Joyce, for coming in tonight, and good luck.
Thank you.
All right.
Okay.
Good night, Joyce.
Bye-bye.
What?
I was just going to say that if she has we'll follow up through the office tomorrow.
Okay.
Okay, thank you so much, and
All right,
thank you for all your
look
help.
for that, Joyce.
Alrighty, bye guys.
All right. Up next, we have a toll booth fundraiser request for the Salvation Army for Red Kettle Campaign on December 13th, 2025, from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. We have Dave McDonald and Lynette here as well. So do you want to tell us about the Red Kettle Campaign?
Sure do. First of all, I want to thank Madam Town Manager, Mr. Chair, and fellow board members. I'm with Lynette Warren, or Lynette Valentine Warren, Salvation Army. She's on board. She's our boss, by the way. She's the one that whips the crack on us. The Salvation Army has been in this community for years and years, and a lot of you actually know what I do, and a lot of you also came out and supported us. But we just want to take a few minutes to explain what we do and why we're doing it. Salvation Army during the holidays is a very important time for us, as it is 12 months a year. We don't stop, and a lot of you who know us knows that we don't stop. So the boot kettle, or the boot drive that we do here in Lunenburg, we also do it in every community that in the area. Salvation Army handles our Tri-City, Fitchburg, Leominster, and Lunenburg. It's a privilege for me to be working in Lunenburg, living here, and serving the people of the community. But this year, it's tough. I think every one of you here know how tough it is. And I keep saying that every year, and I'm waiting for someday it's going to be a miracle. We don't have to get toys for kids. Everybody has a soft spot in their heart. I have one for the kids. I believe that every kid should have a toy for Christmas morning. And we worked hard at that last year between our Angel program, which we'll talk about in a second. My wife and I have been very proud. Just the two of us to collect over 800 toys for kids, not counting our friends. So we do pretty well for our Angels. And that's because people like you guys care, and that we appreciate. So I want to give it to Lynette a little bit just to explain some of the programs that all this money that we collect go. A lot of people think that we collect this money and it just goes where it doesn't. Anything that's collected stays here in the community. Fitchburg, Leominster, Lunenburg. It doesn't go to big cars. It doesn't go to organizations. It stays here. So keep that in mind. We do give $1. $1 goes back to the community. And we have programs, and Madam Town Manager, we'd like to sit down with you and go over some of those, as well as the senior center, as well as the schools who've been supporting us for the years. So, Lynette.
Thanks for allowing us to come to speak. I want to share with you the collaboration that goes on all year round. Most importantly, what is the Red Kettle? My question is, what would it be without the Red Kettle? I'm proud to say that the money that comes in goes out and it supports local programs. We have a Bridging the Gap program. We have a music program teaching brass, ukulele, drum, piano, and the parents came last week and they were in tears just for the fact that we're offering it free of cost for their children to have the gift of music. My personal perspective on that is that every child should have the gift of music. And that's something we've been able to offer through our program of the Red Kettle. So standing out in the road, collecting the money from people passing by, standing at the store, it's more than just a bell. It's more than that. It's all year round, sending kids to camp. Oh my goodness, the stories. We're in the van driving back from Camp Wonderland. These kids never experienced being away from home. And they're like, Miss Lynette, can we go back next week? There's a camp next week. So our goal is, let's send kids to camp. Let's give the kids the gift of music. Let's give the kids who make a one-time mistake in their life a chance to turn that around. That's what that Red Kettle represents to our local, to our children, to the families. But even more than that, we're social service. We help keep lights on. We help with rent. We help with food. We have a food pantry, and we're proud to say that we are very excited to be able to say, don't worry about keeping the lights on. If you need help, you need to come see us. Our Good Neighbor Energy Fund, the parents that are working that fall through the cracks that don't get money, guess what? You call us if you don't qualify for fuel assistance. We have the Good Neighbor Energy Fund that helps do that for you. So it's a joy every day. Laying your head down. Well done, my faithful servant. My point is this. Let's keep giving to keep supporting the people that so desperately need help. And that's it. And that's why this boot drive is so important. Thank you for your time.
Well, thank you both for your dedication and all the programs that you're running for the town. Mr. McDonald?
Yeah, we just
have
have
something else.
a couple more statements. One of the things Lynette hit on, and Jen, we've been sending you information, and one is the Good Neighbor program. If you know someone in need, have them call us. We have monies to help them pay the bills. We have money to help pay for those utility bills, which are, you guys know, I don't have to tell you. I mean, they're crazy right now. Nobody should be in that code right now. It shouldn't happen that way. And one last thing I just want to say is that I don't care if you get to the Salvation Army or not. I really don't. But I do care that you do something. You do something for you to help our community. It doesn't have to be the Salvation Army. It can be anything. It could be the Lions Club. It could be the Rotary Club.
Local pantries.
It could be the local pantry, which, by the way, we're very proud to support our local pantries and the senior center. So there's a lot of things that we ask to do. But I'm not here asking you to give to the Salvation Army. I'm asking you to give with your hearts. That's where it starts. And the last thing I just want to say is it's been a tough week for us as far as we lost Mario Pedicure this week. And he was a dear friend of mine. And, I'm going to miss him. That was a true patriot. That was a true soldier. That one was a God-loving man. And I know he's with his wife Ann tonight. And I pray to God that we all say a little prayer for him. My last comment is this will be my last Salvation Army drive. I will be moving on to Lunenburg first quarter. And I just can't thank the town enough for what we've done. Everybody here in town has been there to help. And I'm going to ask that one more time. And during this boot drive, we have a challenge. And Mr. Chair, we would love you if you came and stay with us for an hour and try to dodge the cars and try not to get hit.
Yeah.
But we do have a competition with the Fitchburg and Lumsden mayors, so we'd be proud to have you standing with us. And that goes to all you guys. If you want to come and ring the bell, have a challenge, come to Walmart. Jen, I saw you at the Touch a Truck
Yeah.
event.
I love a challenge.
Come and join us and help us. But I think there's going to be an angel tree at the town center, at the town hall, like there has been for years. I talked to Miss Goodell at the senior center. We want the senior center. And I got to talk to Liz at the school because they always adopt a family. So if you guys have any questions, give us a call, 978-343-2200. No, that's not it. What is it?
978-342-3300.
All right.
Or on
Almost.
speed dial. So again,
right.
God bless you guys.
Thank you,
Merry
Lynette and
Christmas.
Dave. Any questions from the board? Nope. All right, so I will move to approve the toll booth fundraiser request for the Salvation Army for the Red Kettle campaign for December 13th, 2025, from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m.
Second.
Any additional discussion? Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. Motion passes unanimously. I hope
I'm
it goes.
abstain.
Oh, I'm sorry. You're going to abstain?
Yep.
Okay, any abstentions?
Yes.
All right, motion passes 4-0-1. All right.
Thank you.
And if anybody wants to adopt a child, we have the angels, by the way.
I'm sorry, if anyone wanted to what?
Adopt a child this year,
Okay.
buy a toy, come see us, but these are what the angels look like this year. And if you don't want to support a boot drive, you can ring the bell too.
Yeah. We have options for you too.
And we do have the police, which, one last thing, we work very closely with the Lunenburg Police and Fire Department. And we've been having meetings once a month with all the fire departments from Fitchburg, Lumsden, Lunenburg, Red Cross. It's been great, productive meetings, and we're doing a lot more to help them and them help us. So again, God bless you guys and have a great night.
Have a good night.
And go Pat.
All right, public comment. Is there any public comment from the public? Sharon, come on up. Sharon is going to come up first. Yeah, I will. Yep.
The last time I came up here, Mr. McDowell helped me walk. Seriously, I'm feeling much better. I'm Sharon Jordan, 77 Burridge Street. I am here to invite you to an event this Saturday, October the 18th, from 11 to 1 at the Fitchburg City Hall. This is the second No King's Day protest. The first one was in June, and millions of Americans like me stood up for the Constitution against dictators and against rule by the rich. Trump and his Republican administration are following the Project 2025 playbook. They are sending masked agents into our communities, terrorizing adults and children. They are kidnapping American citizens without warrants and without identifying themselves, hiding behind masks and zip ties. This is unlawful. The 14th Amendment of the Constitution says all persons born or naturalized in the United States are citizens. All persons are citizens. And the Fifth Amendment of the Constitution says that protects federal due process rights of all individuals, meaning that nobody can be deprived of liberty without due process of law. Republicans hold the White House, the Senate, Congress, and arguably the Supreme Court. They own the government shutdown. They own the end of affordable health care for millions of Americans. They own the chaos of the tariffs. Just reading about cooking oil tonight, it's a good thing I like olive oil and not safflower oil. They own historic market crashes and price hikes that steal our money. And furthermore, where are the Epstein files? They think they own us, but they do not. America does not belong to kings or dictators or tyrants. It belongs to we, the people. At the second No Kings Day, we will peacefully unite and support the foundation of this country and each other. One vote, one person, government by the consent of the governed. Saturday, we will exercise our First Amendment right to peaceably assemble and petition for the redress of injustice. My father served 2 tours of duty in World War II. He was Antifa. I am Antifa. I am anti-fascism, pro-America, and pro-democracy. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Sharon. It's good to see you tonight, too. Glad
I
you're
do
doing
have a
better.
little bit, thank you.
Oh.
A little bit of political theater.
Nice.
United we ribbit, divided we croak.
Good
Thank you.
one. Thank you, Sharon. All right, any other public comments? Matt, come on up. Oop.
Thank you. My name is Matthew Brenner. I live at 619 Northfield Road. I am the chair of the planning board, but I'm here tonight really on a topic the planning board may have comment on in the future. I can't tell you. We don't meet till the end of the month, but I wanted to comment on an upcoming proposed warrant article as a citizen, and I wanted to give some history to the select board before you make your decisions on that. And that's specifically about the upcoming warrant article or potential warrant article to merge the Architectural Preservation District, the Commission, the APDC, with the Historical Commission. The Architectural Preservation District was established in Lunenburg in, I want to say it was 2015, to preserve the classic look, feel, and design of our downtown. It was very intentionally written to not be a historical preservation district. Actually, our bylaw was based on the one that was used in Salem for the same purpose. And if you go into it, it talks about wanting to make sure that that while the APDC should be looking to preserve the look and design of our downtown, things like modern design standards, modern materials, and building codes should be allowed to be followed. I have a big concern with merging a committee whose goal is supposed to be let's keep downtown looking like downtown with our historical commission. I think both are valuable. But we've already seen over the past several years the APDC having what I would argue is an increasingly historical preservation opinion and role in town. I would use Ritter, because I spend a lot of time there, as a great example where every day I get to look out single pane windows with holes in them. Why do we have those in Ritter? Well, because when it's come to the APDC for these windows need to get updated, the town has been told we need to replace with like windows, not modern double pane windows that would have the same look and be appropriate, but single pane custom windows. Now, these cost more to build, to install, and then in the long term, they are a horrific investment as the town has to pay more to heat and cool the building. It's not just the town buildings, it's people's houses, it's all the businesses in the area. I understand that there's a desire to merge these committees, possibly due to people willing to serve or other reasons. However, even as it stands now, and with its increase towards the move they've made towards historic preservation, has happened even though the APDC is supposed to be comprised of people, has requirements to be comprised of residents of the Architectural Preservation District, design specialists, and others. Our Historic Commission has no such requirements. And due to the nature of their very important work, they are going to inherently be biased towards historic preservation. That isn't the goal of this district. It's going to get in the way. It's going to make life harder for the residents and for town government. It's going to cost our taxpayers more money. If we want to increase historic preservation in town, that's a fair goal. But that is something that needs to happen after significant public input. There needs to be public info gathering sessions and discussions, and not have the first time townspeople see it be at special town meeting. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Brenner. Thanks for coming in. So I'm actually really glad that you came in to make that public comment to share your feedback, so I appreciate it. Thank you. All right, Mr. Rabbit, come on up.
Hey, Amanda, you were actually a lot better than your brother. They don't know that. Okay. First of all, my name's John Rabbit, 314 Townsend Harbor Road, Lunenburg, Massachusetts, and I wear this hat with pride, except there's one part.
It's the wrong one, though.
The wrong one. But I do like the hat. So in either case, I'm coming up to, first of all, I want to applaud Jen. But anyway, what I really like is the fact that you're building a good team. You really are. You've been encouraging folks to work together, and you've taken the bull by the horns, I think, last week or the week before with regard to vacation policies and being able to use it in Medicare. And I would absolutely want to encourage you, and I can tell you it is affecting the employees, and I think that's the right answer, and I want to say thank you because they are a most critical element. But with regard to building things together, did you know, and I bet most people don't know this, but the Meals on Wheels program got merged with the book lending program. And so now if you want to get a book from the library, tell them. They will integrate that into their meal. If you're on the Meals on Wheels program, you'll get it. That's cooperation. Jen, you're setting the tone. I'll give you another group. The group on fundraising efforts for the Boys and Girls Club and the Council on Aging. They're working together to do something in the middle of the street and stop traffic and beat people up for money, but they're doing it together. And I think that, okay, they're not really beating the other, but they'll have baseball bets. No, they won't. Okay, so anyway, I just think that is a neat sense that you're bringing to it, work together. I've been on the Council on Aging for about 4 months now, and I've had my eyes open to the levels of activity and the employee volunteers and the commitments, and it's a good thing. Things are happening in the same realm. The tempo you're setting is working its way through to the rest of the town here. I love the fact that the Council on Aging and the Senior Center they have a do whatever it takes attitude to the employees. If someone's not there, they're jumping in. They're washing the dishes. There's no way in heck you should expect the director of the Senior Center to be washing dishes, but they do. They do whatever it takes. And again, I love it. I think that the fact that Deb Goodsell picked up the good work from Sue Dougherty. She did a really nice job. There was some stutters and things like that, just in change. But she's continued to build on that adult center capability. And meantime, Deb Lincoln and she are working together to marshal and create a seamless support. It's a good team effort going between those two groups. Again, they don't do it unless they're encouraged to. So again, Jen, thank you very much. I never realized the depth by which the physical help our seniors, how much we really do help them. We help them food, we give them psychological support, we help them with their taxes. It is really a wonderful, all-inclusive thing. And again, the Council on Aging is in there with them. It's a good cooperative effort. And honestly, I'm amazed. Okay, and I'm going to try and close this quick. I know I'm out of time, Caesar. But meantime, I call it the Debs team. The two Debs, they work together well. They trade ideas. They move things quickly. The fact that I think we had 300 or so events last month alone. And if you ever take a step back, folks, and see all the things that are going on in terms of fighting social isolation, that is really the big problem with our senior population and getting people in there. We have a gem going on there, and I can tell you that Deb is working, both Debs are working on the right stuff. Essentially, they're doing the fundraising. They're looking at fundraising, going out. She's got a list of things that, where can I get money? Because they recognize the management, the first job of a president of a corporation is to promote sales. Same with the board of directors. They're working together on that particular activity. And I'll just go on and on, but, oh yeah, did you know they're deploying a thing called a work breakdown structure? WBS, if you're in the military, you know what the WBS is, or maybe you used to anyway, when I was there. In either case, they're looking at who's doing what. And if somebody's not there, they can fill in. And they're looking at things that they want to accomplish in the future, and what do we have the resources for? And so there's a real pile of science going on behind that to better support our seniors. And I just needed to tell you that, because it's a good thing. And again, the Debs Show, and Jen, thank you, and the board, thank you very much. You guys are really supportive. And the fact that we had 2 selectmen and 1 old selectman at the meeting today was a good thing, really good thing. Okay, I'll be out of here. I won't hold your time. And oh, by the way, we had a discussion. We might start selling hats to do some fundraising. Okay.
All right, thank you, Mr. Rabbit. All right, any other public comments? Mr. Alonso, long time no see.
I said I'd be back.
Welcome
You
back.
did?
Thank you, thank you. Should say like, wow, what a dream. I had to, you were in it, and you were in it. Interesting being on this side again, but I wanted to just note.
Name and address.
Oh, Tom Alonso, 284 Lancaster Avenue, thank you. I just wanted to mark some notable passings in town and then another announcement. So these past 2 weeks, we actually lost 2 centenarians from town. First was, and this is just an order they're passing, first was Kay Previtt, who passed at the age of 102. Born in 1923, raised her family in the town of Wakefield. While she summered in Lunenburg, this is going to be a common theme because so did the next person, in a home that she and her husband John purchased in 1954, where they eventually moved to Lunenburg full-time when they both retired. Kay developed her love and flair for floral design as a member of the Crystal Garden Club in Wakefield, and she brought that talent with her as a member of the Laurelwood Garden Club in Fitchburg, where she and her friend Julia Casey, her friend for many years, combined their leadership, love of flowers, and sense of community service to co-found the annual Art in Bloom fundraising event at the Fitchburg Art Museum, which has remained one of the museum's largest revenue sources since its inception 25 years ago. But even more than that, it's a great art event and a great social event that my wife and I have been very happy to attend for many, many years. Kay was very involved in Lunenburg Senior Center, now, of course, the Adult Activity Center, where she could be found staying mentally sharp by playing cribbage, bridge, mahjong, and helping with fundraising there well into her 90s. She was recognized by the Lunenburg Council on Aging on her 100th birthday and actually was the first recipient of the Town Century Award, the plaque which exists in the Adult Activity Center. She was also a mainstay at many of the wine tasting at her daughter Elena's wine tasting events here in town. Just this past week, Mario Patacchiola passed away, and his story is kind of similar, that after being a World War II vet and having served in the U.S. Navy, he married in 1955. Mario and his wife built a home on Hickory Hills where they would summer here before making the move from Somerville to Lunenburg full-time in 1985 and then spending winters in Florida. He was a faithful member of St. Boniface Parish and the Eagle House Senior Center, again, common theme, and a member of the American Legion and the AMVETS and the Knights of Columbus. His wife of 79 years passed away in 2023, but he still maintained his presence in Lunenburg at the Senior Center, and especially every year you could find him at the Memorial Day ceremonies where, as his health failed, his son Mark would help him there and attend with him. So they were both very active. He was behind the bocce court at the Senior Center too. So I just want to mark them. He was actually the third recipient of the Century Award, and the second recipient, actually Fred Cuddy, passed away a year or so ago. So I just wanted to mark those. I had the honor of knowing them and seeing their commitment to family and community and friends in Lunenburg directly, and was honored to have them, be able to call them a friend. So I just wanted to mark them. On a lighter note, I wanted to thank the Lunenburg Public Library and the Board of Trustees and the Friends of the Library for their October 3rd opening party for the 20th anniversary of the building. It's hard to believe that it's 20 years. As we were at the event, my wife reminded me that when we had the groundbreaking, we actually didn't, there was just a clearing, and for an aerial photograph, they had everybody who attended form the outline of the building where they took a shot. This is, I think, pre-drone or a really early drone, because I think somebody actually flew a plane over for the Sentinel and took the picture. But 20 years, long time. Served a lot of people. I want to thank Muir Hammond and his staff and all the people who served there. There was a great presentation from Bill Tyler of the Historical Society detailing the history of the library and the history of the librarians that were there. 2 people in town actually were librarians combined for like 65, 70 years. And their salary went from $50 to the end of that to $55. So there was over 60 years. There was a lot of remarking about that. There'll be various events. I encourage people to go to their calendar on the Lunenburg Library calendar on their website. It'll all be culminated on Friday, October 24th from 5 to 6:30, where they will have a closing party for the anniversaries. So I would encourage everybody to be there. It really was one of the first buildings in the cycle of new buildings back then. I think it was the second one after the primary school. So a really great building that serves so many people for so many reasons and continues their good work today, even in a totally different environment than libraries were initially set out to do. So just wanted to comment on that. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Alonso.
Thanks, Tom.
All right. Any other public comments on Zoom? Not seeing any. Any public comments from the board?
Nope.
All right. Appointments, ratifications, and resignations. And all we have tonight is acknowledge the resignation of Jennifer Daigle, Planning Administrative Assistant.
So, yes, Mr. Chairman, I had mentioned this to the board at the last meeting. Unfortunately, Ms. Daigle has obtained a position in the private sector. So we got to know Jen over the past few months. She was a great asset, but unfortunately, she is moving on to the private sector. But thank her nonetheless for her service and to help keep the planning board wheels on the bus, so to speak.
All right. Town manager report?
Yes, thank you. Okay. So the first part of my report is a little bit long, and I'm going to read some information, but we're going to be probably posting, most likely posting a recent report from the Massachusetts Municipal Association on our website, so I wanted to give a little bit of context to that. So the Massachusetts Municipal Association, which represents 351 cities and towns across the Commonwealth, has released a report entitled "A Perfect Storm: Cities and Towns Face Historic Fiscal Pressures." It's a short report. It's about 12 pages long, not too dense in the text. And for those of us that are really dealing with this on a day-to-day basis or budget-to-budget basis, there's nothing remarkably new or earth-shattering that's contained in this report. I think one of the things that it does highlight, though, for folks is that there's nothing that the town of Lunenburg or the town of Ashby or the town of Sterling is facing that neighboring municipalities are not. It does highlight, though, that we're facing some things in a little bit different way. So just to the public to kind of highlight this report, and then you'll be able to find it online. The Massachusetts Municipal Association partnered with the Center for State Policy Analysis at Tufts University to go over key factors shaping municipal budgets and identify the most effective targeted solutions. The key findings of the report are as follows. 1, rising costs and sluggish state aid are putting enormous pressure on local budgets across Massachusetts. 2, a prohibition against local sales and income tax combined with a 2.5% cap on property tax increases prevents municipalities from raising adequate revenue on their own to respond to community needs. And 3, different municipalities are being affected in different ways. For example, rural towns have been, which Lunenburg is categorized in this report as a rural town. For example, rural towns have been forced to curtail spending in key areas like education, but by contrast, gateway cities have boosted education spending thanks to an infusion of targeted state aid. But all communities are following behind in all other areas of local spending. So a few data points from this report that struck me particularly as interesting. Between 2010 and 2022, real inflation-adjusted spending on current operations in Massachusetts municipalities grew at just 0.6% per year. The nationwide average for local spending growth is 1%. So we are substantially behind the rest of the nation. The state budget, in contrast, has risen at roughly 2.8%. So when we are growing at just 0.6% per year, that puts a substantial strain on our limited resources, especially when there are certain areas that are growing substantially more than that 0.6%. Since 2002, when adjusted for inflation, unrestricted general government aid, also known as UGA, has fallen 25% despite strong state revenue growth. Quote, losing UGA dollars in this way is particularly difficult for stressed municipal budgets because it's a rare stream of support that can be flexibly redirected to address evolving needs. UGA is something that you can use on extra road repairs after a pothole cratering spring or additional tutoring for students struggling with pandemic learning loss. It's not limited in its use. And lastly, what I found interesting was that there are override initiative clusters. You can see on the maps contained in the report that there's clear clusters across the Commonwealth where override attempts, at least, are more common. And those clusters are located primarily Cape and Islands, the Northeast, North Central, and more generally, Central Massachusetts. We expect a continued focus on financial pressures experienced by municipalities over the coming years by groups like the Massachusetts Municipal Association. They just launched this report at the end of last week. I expect that the outflow of this report will be what is discussed at length over the coming years. All right, so we're going to put that up. It's an interesting read. Again, Nothing new or earth-shattering for those paying attention, other than to really drive home the point that this is not a Lunenburg issue, and it's not a North Central issue, and it's not a Central issue. It's a Commonwealth of Massachusetts issue for municipalities. Okay, PEC engagement. So last week was the first formal discussion with the Public Employee Committee to discuss potential modifications to health benefits that are offered through the PEC agreement. The next meeting will be on December 4th. They're going to formulate a smaller negotiating team, and as we go forward in the process, we'll be discussing that here with the board. Payroll and benefits coverage. Last week, the town did engage with an outside consultant through Robert Half for interim payroll and benefits coverage. Richard Tomachek has started on board as of last week. He is full-time as a contractor. He has payroll and accounting experience as well as previous municipal experience. So with Nancy O'Rourke's departure at the end of the month, we're hoping that at least this stopgap measure will give us continuity for payroll and benefits. Interim Planning Director Services, the town of Lunenburg has re-engaged with Richard Harris to provide interim planning director services. Mr. Harris previously provided similar services to the town and has been engaged once again as we seek our next permanent director. Under this agreement, Mr. Harris is providing the planning board support, reviewing applications, and following any development projects, their review and management. Labor negotiations fire. Today, I received the official request to begin negotiations with the Lunenburg Professional Firefighters Local 5369 on the FY27 to FY21 collective bargaining agreement. So we will get underway with that. Last week, I attended a labor and employment law update that was hosted by our Labor Counsel, Myrick O'Connell. We discussed the ADA and reasonable accommodations in the workplace, investigation, compliance, and wage and hour updates. It was a great session put on by Myrick for all of their clients and public sector and private sector alike, and definitely having that private sector folks in the room gave an interesting perspective. So learned some things there that we will be applying here. Just to reiterate, the Master Plan Steering Committee is hosting their public meeting the next week on Wednesday, October 22nd from 6:30 to 8:30 at Smokestack Roasters to gather final thoughts from the public on the master plan work that's been under development. If folks want some more information about the plan, please visit planlunenburg.org. Trick-or-treat suggested hours are on Halloween from 6 to 8. Our current recruitments are the payroll and benefits position at 36 hours, assistant town accountant at 32 hours, dietary aide at 9 hours, intermittent heavy equipment operator, land use director at 40 hours, administrative assistant to both the planning and building departments at 36 hours, and recreation director at 19 hours per week. And appointed boards, there are vacancies on the Agricultural Commission, APDC, Cultural Council, Green Communities, Historical Commission, Personnel Board, PAC, ZBA for an associate member, and representative to the First Middlesex Small Towns Collaborative. And elected boards, there are vacancies on the Board of Assessors, Planning Board, Sewer Commission, and Trust Fund Commission. An extra plug for the Board of Assessors, once again, that is a critical vacancy, and we need somebody from the community to step up and fill that role. So putting out that call again. And that is the conclusion of my report.
All right, thank you. Any questions for the town manager? All right, perfect. Moving down to old business, discussion on November 18, 2025, special town meeting and warrant articles. So we're going to go through these again, and we're going to front load the planning board articles because we do have the chair of the planning board here. So Matt, I'll invite you back up to the podium. And for the board, this is going to be Article O and P. So the MBTA zoning and the concrete common drives.
All right, thank you, Mr. Chair. Delightfully, I have very boring articles in front of you this time. Do you want me to take one first, or
Yeah, do you want to start with the MBTA?
Okay, great.
Probably the good one.
This article is the culmination of our MBTA community's work. Last spring, we held some public info gathering sessions, discussion sessions, and the feedback that came back from the public overall, the majority feedback was that people understood that that they get that Lunenburg, like much of Massachusetts, is lacking in that missing middle housing. Also understanding that what's called the missing middle for density in Lunenburg is among our highest density. But we don't have a lot of that housing that can be more affordable. The significant but minority opinion was, we don't need that either. Regardless, what the strong feedback from the community was that while we're missing some of that, leveraging MBTA communities is not the way to get it in town, because we have other avenues we can pursue upcoming that are likely to be better for us fiscally and allow us to be a lot more creative with how we eventually permit that kind of building. To that end, the planning board has elected to move forward with what's called paper compliance. I strongly prefer the term and concept that we're taking credit for the hard work we already did. Yeah. Lunenburg has the first 40R district in the state of Massachusetts. Straight up, our 40R over at Tri-Town is the first. To that end, we can leverage it. So all we're doing is taking Tri-Town, bumping it from 22, it's a lot of words to do this because of the boilerplate language and everything. We're bumping the zoning on Tri-Town from 22 units per acre to 26 units per acre. There's other words in there because Tri-Town was built out to about 17 to 20 units per acre. It isn't economically feasible for them to level that and suddenly add for a couple units an acre. No. But understanding maybe the day comes as a disaster, maybe 30 years from now that development is at its end of useful life, and maybe we haven't touched anything since. So this bylaw is still written to be thoughtful about what that would look like, but this is paper compliance. We expect no meaningful change in the foreseeable future from the town from this zoning adjustment. It will, however, meet the requirements from the state. The state said paper compliance is fine, so we're doing that.
Great. Any questions from the board on the MBTA zoning bylaw?
Can you remind me when the public hearing is?
It is the 27th, I believe. Okay, yeah, the 27th of October.
Monday?
Yep, Monday.
Perfect. Any other questions? All right. Relatively straightforward, although I think it takes a while to really understand why we're required to do this, so.
I guess, Mr. Chair, one comment.
Sure.
I think if folks are interested, before even you dropped something.
Yeah, it's just mine.
Before the public hearing is maybe to go to the recording of your information session you had, because that really, you did a great job of explaining it all in detail, but simply.
Thank you very much. And yeah, those are on YouTube. On PAC's YouTube. In addition, the presentation I used for that is available on the planning board website too. So you can go there and get that website. If you have any concerns, reach out to the planning office, drop me an email, let us know. Be happy to chat with you ahead of time for anyone out there in the public. But we expect at this point, we've had the hard conversations, so hopefully now this is a very straightforward process for the town.
And I would just like to echo Member Emke's comments about the importance of those information sessions, because it will drive home a lot of the concerns that I do have with this law, in that it is the state stepping into the local zoning and trying to change the very fabric of the towns in which we live. And there has a feel that the state is trying to essentially urbanize some of the more rural communities. So I do encourage people to watch those information sessions, because there is a lot to this law that is really hard to fathom. And it really kind of couples to the report that the town manager mentioned earlier in regards to those who we have elected to represent us on the state government, I think have failed to properly fund our communities. And with this urbanization, with the loss of the birthing center at Leominster Hospital, as well as the loss of a hospital, to urbanize an area that is already struggling with those type of issues is very, very troubling. And it is an internal struggle for me to not vote no on this, because without getting into it, the state will penalize, will sue the local governments. And we heard some comments earlier about Kings and the lack of democracy. I think we need to look closely at our state government and look at the impact that laws like this, not limited to this, we could go back to the ADUs, which the state has. We did have a generous ADU policy, but the state did step in and remove the requirement to have owner-occupied aspect to the ADU unit, which opens up further homes, single-family homes for investment, thereby lessening the opportunity for families to, buy their first house. But again, just watch the meetings. They're helpful, and there's a lot to digest. Thank you.
Actually, if I may make a tangential comment to that, Mr. Chair. I would like the select board to be aware, I would like the public to be aware. The reason Lunenburg has not been hammered hard, the reason we've been able to roll with the punches and haven't really been influenced by things like MBTA communities, like the ADU bylaw, is because we have been fortunate enough in the past to be very forward-thinking in our bylaws and in the way we're structuring the laws that govern our town to keep us flexible, permissive where appropriate, and really try to optimize land use. But I also want to put on everyone's radar that we're kind of running out, the things we did that were forward-thinking are now mandates from the state. That means if we don't get cracking and don't get thinking in the future, about the future, the next round of top-down that comes, because it will come, the state has made that clear, are going to start impacting us. And I already in the planning office see, and through the building office see, some issues that could be upcoming. So we have been good so far. We need to be active moving forward, or we are going to get hit. That's all.
Great, thank you. All right, want to talk to us about bituminous concrete now?
Ooh, bituminous asphalt. Look, all this does is remove we did the common driveway bylaw. It says your common driveway has to be asphalt. We didn't really mean that to be in there. How do these changes happen? Well, we've had a somewhat rotating door of planners. Planners are like lawyers. They get to everyone, if you have two together, you're going to have at least three opinions about the right way to do things. And they're all correct. And through that, we ended up adding the bituminous concrete, the asphalt requirement to common driveways. There's no practical reason. It is more affordable for developers to not require it, because in some instances they may not want to. That means it's more affordable for the people buying the homes. That means long-term it's more affordable for those maintaining their homes if they don't have to maintain 1,800 feet of asphalt. It's better for the environment. It's just a very quick, easy fix. We hadn't even realized this had changed until there was an application before us, and we didn't mean to require that. So here we are, simple fix.
Okay, so it's just striking out literally this one sentence.
Yes, the driveway, so the driveway effectively may be gravel.
Okay.
That's all it is.
Seems pretty straightforward to me. Any questions from the board?
I have frequently wondered, these houses with long driveways that are paved, that are in disrepair, I just want to cringe at the thought of replacing that.
Yeah.
Nope, I don't have any questions.
Anything else? All right. Well, thank you for coming in tonight. Always love hearing you. You have a really good way of explaining incredibly complex planning things in a very simple way. So I think it's great that you're able to do that to the public. So,
Really helpful.
Thank you much.
out of curiosity, how long were you working on the MBTA communities compliance?
I mean, that's a hard question because sort of we've been working on it since it first came out a few years ago, but it's been very stop and start, again, with the rotating door of planners that came through. The thing I don't like is we're up against the wall now. We are acting much later than I would rather we were. However, we are acting as soon as we have been able.
Mm-hmm.
So this work, I don't want to take too much credit for the writing. This is largely put together, again, it's very boilerplate, but this is put together by consultants at Community Scale who have basically taken our needs, run out our calculations, put the bylaw together for us, have taken some feedback from Planning Board. At the public hearing, we may have a few more tweaks. And they've also done the back-end work for getting the shape files together and all the map requirements for GIS and other things.
Great. And before I forget, I just want to point out, we were made aware that technically, according to the zoning laws, we're supposed to formally vote to refer these articles to you. I know it's a little strange because you already did this and you referred it to us, but we do need to formally take that vote.
Yeah, so this has always been something that I've spent a lot of time in 48 Section 5. And so this has always been something that occurred to me as odd that an article initiated by the planning board referred to the select board would then have to be referred back from the select board to the planning board. So I found some loose guidance that that's true except when initiated by the planning board. So I consulted Attorney Costa on this and he said, belts and suspenders, take the vote just to be sure. So that is what we're going to do. So essentially, there's not clear, bright line guidance on whether an article initiated by the planning board needs to be referred back to the planning board, but
Town council recommended that we do it anyway.
just in case.
So we will.
When in doubt, cover your butt.
Exactly. It's a CYA.
Yes.
So I will move to refer the planning articles to the planning board under the requirements of 40A Section 5.
Second.
Any additional discussion? Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. The motion passes unanimously. All right, so it looks like we have all our ground covered here. Thank you, Mr. Brenner, for coming in tonight.
You're very welcome. Do you need anything else from me this evening before?
No, I don't think so. Nope.
Great. Thank you. I hope you have a delightful rest of your meeting, or as delightful as it gets on that stage.
Thanks for your
Thank you,
time
Matt.
tonight.
Thanks for coming in.
Bye.
Okay, so we can start back from the top of the warrant now. And we can just go through them all and make sure that we don't forget anything. All right, so Article A, we voted to include, and we also voted to recommend approval, 5-0. I don't think there's anything on that one. Article B, amending the fiscal year 2026 omnibus budget. We did vote to include it, and we voted to defer. Any updates on any transfers? Are there any that we know of yet right now?
So there are a couple of transfers from the salary reserve. There's a potential of additional appropriation to cover some of the gaps in the accounting office. And so what we think will be, what occurs here is that this article would be printed as is in the warrant, and then there'd be a handout at town meeting with a comprehensive list of all the potentials that would be moved under the motion.
Okay. Any discussion on this tonight? Keep that as deferred. Article C, authorization to pay expenses from a prior fiscal year. Same thing, included but deferred. Any discussion on this one tonight? All right. So Article D and Article E, which we're kind of considering together here. So we have the two projects that we discussed for the stormwater utility, which is $42,900, and the school mini splits, which was $28,000.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, if I could just jump in here. I think that at the last meeting, we talked about the potential of a school capital project.
Okay.
And so that potential is real. So it is a $28,000 overage on the mini splits. So it's the $28,000 there, and we didn't have an amount for the stormwater consultant last time. So that amount is now $42,900.
Is that set, though, that amount?
The $42,900?
Yeah.
It's the highest that it won't go higher than that.
Okay, yeah, it won't go higher, yeah, okay.
So what I'm going to ask council to do on these articles, the reason why there's an Article D and an Article E is really about funding source. And so it's the same two projects, one funded by remaining capital from prior fiscal years, one funded by free cash. We may not have an opportunity to decide that before this needs to go to print. So I'm going to ask town council to combine these into one to give the flexibility of the appropriation source to carry the articles.
All right.
So it's not a and/or at town meeting to confuse folks, that if there's a way to do it in one, let's do it in one.
Right, makes sense. All right, Article F, Public Access Cable Committee Transfer of Funds, and Town Council is drafting a revision to this one. Okay. Article G, Cemetery Commission Transfer of Funds, we voted to include, and we recommended approval 5-0. All right, Article H, Authorization to appropriate a sum of money for a project estimator. So we did vote to include it, and we recommended approval 5-0, and I believe we have numbers now here, too.
Wait, we didn't vote at all.
Oh, look, I'm sorry, I'm looking at Article I, never mind.
Yeah.
But we do have those numbers.
Right, so the facilities director for the town spoke with the facilities director for the school to see what amount of money they might think would cover this. It's estimated that each time they use a project estimator, it's going to cost roughly $7,000. So they felt as though a good amount of money to see how this works would be $50,000. That would cover several years of the project estimator costs. At this point, again, the funding source remains a little bit up in the air. I would prefer to use all capital, but it's potential that free cash or raise and appropriate would be the funding source for this article. But the amount that we'd be going with is $50,000.
And that includes DPW projects, too? So all three?
Yep.
All right.
Although DPW does have a little bit of operational funds budgeted that they can tap into where the others do not.
And who would
Be the arbiter?
approve? Yeah, okay.
Town manager, yeah. But I think, this is one of those things that it's in the best interest of everybody that projects that are coming forward have a professionally estimated quote if needed. Behooves all.
Do we want to vote to include this one in the warrant tonight?
It's definitely going in, we just don't know the source, right? Funding source.
All right, I'll move to include Article H in the warrant.
Second.
Any additional discussion? Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. The motion passes unanimously, and we can hold off on recommending approval until we find that funding source. Okay, Article I, Establishment of a Special Education Reserve Fund. We voted to include and recommend approval 5-0, and we have a request out to the school committee, I believe, as well, to...
Just if they wanted to weigh in at all further than what they have here.
So this one I would feel more comfortable in light of that, as well as wanting to hear from the finance committee of like deferring. I did vote to recommend, but I'd feel more comfortable hearing more on it before. So,
Who would you like to hear from?
well, the finance committee, I did watch the school committee meeting, but I guess I'd say specifically the finance committee.
Okay.
As well as, again, the school committee.
Well, they're definitely going to, I would imagine, discuss this at some point. Do you know what their timeline is like?
It could change.
Okay.
So in my conversation with the Finance Committee Chair, the Finance Committee will be convening next Thursday, the 23rd, I believe that is, to discuss warrant articles again. And then they will be having a public hearing on articles. I believe it's not going to be until November 13th. Let me just look at my calendar real quick. November 13th. So their public hearing, as being discussed, is not going to be until well after anything's mailed, which is fine. But just, that's, this, I guess what I would say is if the select board is going to hold off on making recommendations based on the recommendations that come after a public hearing of the finance committee, we're going to need a special meeting. Because
won't have time.
we won't have time, because that meeting is on the 13th. And so we would have that's a Thursday. The following Monday is the 17th. You'd have to meet then. Otherwise, I would not want to see you trying to cram this in a half an hour, absorbing the information from Finance Committee a half an hour before the town meeting starts.
Yeah, I guess. Either way, we would have to be in a crunch to vote on it. Okay, that's Glenn, where you're at. Other members, do you want to change your vote here? Do you want to defer, or do you want to re-vote on this?
I thought historically if we had one member that wanted to defer, we deferred.
Yeah, we have followed that. We can continue if we want to continue that practice.
My
I'm fine either
feelings
way.
won't be
I don't feel
hurt.
strongly about it, but
What's that, I'm sorry?
Renee or Glenn?
Well, I'm just wondering, will this article be included in FinCom's public hearing? Because it creates a fund, but there's
Oh,
no,
this was the one with no funding.
no
no
money's
funding.
going in, no mechanism. It does give a mechanism for how to,
There is no financial
money out.
impact at this time.
not at this
know.
time, but indirect, it's creating it, so there will be a
Right.
it's a gray area.
It is,
The
it's,
next article that follows, I think, will have a financial impact.
right, so I think that how the Finance Committee has a bit of discretion in determining whether or not there's a financial impact. So it's hard to say whether or not,
Yeah.
how they're going to come down on an article.
Right, it's up to their discussion, how they vote, pretty much. All right, I'm fine with deferring. Do we want to defer?
Okay, are we then having a meeting on that?
I think if just
We're gonna
Monday?
have to-
Can you
Chairman.
just make it, can you also vote on town meeting floor, though, too?
We can.
can.
Either way, we're going to have to continue to vote on things because we're deferring.
Yeah.
And typically, we have a meeting before town meeting to do that. We can continue to do that, or we could meet on the Monday before town meeting. Either way, it looks like we're going to have to do that.
I think that where I'm drawing a distinction here is that there is, for example, amending the budget or bills from a prior fiscal year. That is information that is being assembled in your office. And so you are getting that information because it's being assembled for you in your office. The concept of having a public hearing, I would expect if you are I am not going to be able to write a report on the FinCom's public hearing and what was said. So I would anticipate if you want to make your recommendations based on a public hearing of somebody else, that folks attend or watch that meeting, and that we're just not going to have a lot of time for much debate.
Yep.
So that's where, as opposed to a list that's being assembled in office, is a little bit different than that, where you can take a quick up or down vote before town meeting. If my strong recommendation is that if the board wants to wait for the Finance Committee's hearing, and I can tell you, I personally won't be there on the 13th, I'm on an airplane, is that you schedule a meeting right now for the 17th.
Yep, so that's what I was going to ask. Can we just commit to saying that we're going to go through our deferred votes on the 17th? That's the Monday before town meeting.
Sure.
It's fine.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. So we'll do that.
Okay.
And then I will move to defer on Article I.
Second.
Any additional discussion? Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. The motion passes unanimously, and we have now deferred on Article I. All right. Now we have Article II, which is the 41A property tax deferral. So this is the deferral program where certain qualifying seniors can not get an exemption, but be deferred on their property taxes, so they will pay it after the sale or death of the resident. And this vote is to increase the qualifying amounts to the maximum for the circuit breakers. So it was $20,000 for everyone, so single or married, and now it's going to be up to $72,000 for single filers, head of household up to $91,000, and married up to $109,000. There's also a question on the interest rate, which we're decreasing from 8% to 4% as well.
If I can just put a finer point in that. So the previous town meeting has already voted to decrease the interest rate from 8% to 4%. And I just have a question out for town council, whether that's a vote that needs to be reaffirmed each year or whether it's one vote to carry forward.
So it's not in there right now, but
If it is a vote that needs to be voted every year, that's certainly the intent
Right.
of the Board of Assessors, that it remains at
done.
the lower rate. Yep.
Yep, so that's what I was going to add. Any other discussion on this? I know we do have our principal assessor coming in next week as well.
Yeah, so let's wait till next week.
Yep.
That's it.
Okay. Article J, Main Street easement, so we voted to include and recommend approval. Article K, transfer of the care, custody, and control of Kids Kingdom, included, recommended approval. Article L, Architectural Preservation District Amendments. We did vote to include this, so the APDC and the Historical Commission are going to have a meeting to discuss this on the 20th, and they will be here the following day on the 21st to discuss this with us. So if there's any discussion on this tonight, we can have that, but we will definitely have more of a discussion next week when they are present. Yes.
Yeah, upon you, like, further reflection of this one, I think this article should be pulled from the warrant. I don't think we should put it on the warrant, and I think that's to the benefit of both the proponents as well as the opponents. Clearly, more vetting of this article is necessary to ensure it receives its fair and appropriate consideration and deliberation. And specifically, in the timing with the presence of the bylaw review committee that was established this year by the charter, I think it's in everyone's best interest. It's much too tight a time frame to have this appropriately vetted. And again, I felt that way. I feel even stronger now, having heard the comments tonight from the planning board. So I think it's just too premature, and I think it should come off of the warrant.
Well, I hear you, and I feel the same way, but I think I came to a different conclusion. I don't think it needs to be removed from the warrant. Whether or not I vote to recommend it is sort of what's being influenced by the discussions that are happening and going back and watching old meetings, the establishment of it, and the conclusions that I'm coming to. So that's where I'm at. I don't think it should get pulled from the warrant. Other members?
They've been proposing this for, what has it been, 3 years? 2 years?
This is going to be the third town meeting
Is
attempt
it?
For it,
But this
so
is the
at least
first time
over
it's
a
actually
year.
getting on, or they've
Yes.
proposed it, but they've brought it forward 3 times.
They almost brought it forward to 2 previous town
To
meetings.
us. To us.
To
They
us,
brought it
yeah.
forward.
I mean, we've discussed it. They've come
Right.
before us, so, I mean, I'll go back to this point. I don't think that it hasn't been properly vetted. I think people have strong opinions about it, which is fine. We can discuss those opinions. But I actually think it has been properly vetted in terms of it was submitted, it's been drafted, reviewed by town council incredibly thoroughly. So in that sense,
Well, I still have one question remaining for town council. That came up last week that didn't click until we actually went through and we're reading it. There's a simple word change, and I forget where it is, changing architectural to historical.
yep.
And I would like town council to review that, because I think there could be impact.
I do too.
Again,
That's one of my concerns as well.
separating, the architectural look from the historical, I don't know what to call it, maintaining historical architecture, I guess. Yeah, so I'd like, if we can get that answer, I don't know when Adam is back.
He has landed.
Oh.
He was texting before the
Oh, is he through passport control yet? If he could answer that question before our discussion next week, I think that would be helpful.
Right. Yep, I agree. That's one of the things that I'm really mainly concerned about and would like clarification on too, so.
Because beyond that one word change, which I think could be significant, it reads to me as simply moving the scope, the responsibilities from one commission into, under the umbrella of another.
But from my understanding is there was a great deal of debate and assurances during the process of adopting that bylaw and that's why the APDC was created for very specific reasons to give the residents the comfort that division that the planning board spoke of to ensure that stayed there. So, this bylaw, and it goes back to my comment about the proponents as well as the opponents, that this is government coming in and potentially, if misconstrued, saying, you can't paint your house this color, you have to choose. I mean, it's a huge government reach-in, and that's what people are concerned with, and that's why there was so much debate and
Well, I think that might
assurances.
relate to the one simple word change.
Right, but I think, again, going to like, if this is going to succeed, I don't think with this very short window is going to do the proponents any favors, let alone those who are opposed to it. It's really core fundamental concerns about people and their property rights and what they want to do with their house. And it's just, I just think it's a bad idea to push it so soon. I know it's been, just because it's been talked about or mentioned for 2 years doesn't mean it's actively been working. I mean, this is stirring it up. This is getting the dust up. This is going to get people's response. I think the time frame is just too tight. We're coming out of a time where people are very skeptical and weary of government, and I think that this will step right into that. And
I agree with you, but I think that it would be on the onus should be on the people that brought it forward to withdraw it. I think having the conversation next week and talking about all these points, because I have the same concerns as you, but I don't want to be the one to say no, to not put it on the warrant. I think the discussion should go to town meeting, and I don't really agree with the merger. I don't think at this point, we'll see what happens after the conversation, but I think that if it was going to get pulled, it should be coming from
I
the
agree.
the committees that are bringing it forward, because it's these committees that are also volunteers that are bringing something forward to us, so I have a hard time when it is other boards and other committees bringing something forward, telling them it's not going to go on the warrant.
I also want to understand the motivation behind it.
I do too.
Because
I
it
feel like I
started
have a
out
lot
with
of questions.
quorum issues.
Yeah, exactly, and that's
Which-
another explanation I want to hear, because
Isn't-
I know they're meeting regularly, so that.
Yeah,
I haven't heard of the quorum issues anymore.
Right.
And
Yeah, I'm still struggling to understand why.
right,
So
and so
maybe next week we'll get more clarity on the why.
So I guess, like, I understand from the previous conversation, like, when the planning board submits an article, it's essentially automatically put onto the warrant. Is that true of any committee?
No, I don't think so. That was very specific to the zoning act.
That's not
citizens.
true in and of itself. That's
Well,
not a
yeah,
true statement
right.
of what you just said. So, nothing automatically goes
Right, it's
on the
our
warrant,
warrant.
right? So, the select board, unless the only thing that, citizens
Yeah.
petition is the one carve out.
Yeah.
It is the select board's warrant. It is ultimately your decision, and your decision alone, of what articles make it on the warrant and what don't. Some select boards have a philosophy that everything that comes, they're not going to gatekeep. Some select boards have a philosophy that they are going to gatekeep, and some select boards are going to want to pick and choose depending on the article. But it's really your decision, ultimately, of what gets on the warrant.
And the fact that it's a special town meeting versus like an annual town meeting. This is a pretty heavy article, along with a few others, and it seems typically, the meatier articles are usually in an annual town meeting. No?
Not necessarily. Again, it's something that's largely driven by the community and tradition. Some communities take, and I think it's probably a pretty common approach, that the annual town meeting is reserved for your big money articles and money, and the special town meeting is reserved for all other things, but particularly zoning articles. There is some town, like, there's some communities that they don't want to put a zoning article on the annual because annual's for money and for business, and that's that.
I feel like we just put everything everywhere.
And I do think that that's probably, from what I've seen in Lunenburg
It just seems like
articles,
meetings
it's, there's not that clear line.
That's what organized.
What? But, I mean, ultimately, it's this board's
Coordinated.
final decision of what gets on the warrant.
I think we put it on the annual town meeting.
I think
Well,
we continue the conversation
yeah.
to next week when we have APDC and Historical Commission here.
Now, are they calling meetings, are they posting agendas, or is it just the chairs coming, or how is that working?
So I guess we could post a joint meeting.
Just if there is more than one member that wants to talk, they have to post a meeting,
It's going to be a
right?
lot of people, though. It would be Historical Commission and APDC, so we're probably better off just having the chairs come in my opinion.
I know that they are meeting on the 20th to discuss.
I would like the invitation personally to be out to them.
Okay.
And then, I mean, we can still hold the conversation even if they can't call their meeting to order, correct?
Yes.
With the chairs? At least that way, if there are other members and they have a quorum, they can come and they can speak and they're not,
Hear more perspectives.
right. And maybe they don't want to. Maybe it'll just be the two chairs that show, but at
But
least
even
there's
then,
an
we're at least
oppor-
giving the full invitation.
Right, at least it's, because
Yeah.
this is a pretty big deal. And
I
if there
agree.
are active members that are attending both meetings, I'd like to give them the opportunity.
Yeah, I had thought about doing that too, and I'm glad you brought it up. So in that case, I think we can definitely do that. So
That doesn't hinder us in any way, right? If they're just the chairs show, or they don't have quorum, we can just have the chairs speak,
no, I
right?
don't think that's an issue.
And I'll just reiterate that it is a bylaw change, and we have the bylaw review committee that has not reviewed it. And then,
Yeah, so the bylaw committee, review committee is stood up every 5 years.
right.
So that, at a minimum, that's a check us, make sure, at least every 5 years, you guys need to review.
Right.
All the bylaws. It doesn't mean we can't make changes to the bylaws in between, because if we have to wait 5 years
No, I
to make
agree.
any change, or to form another committee to, hey, we want to make a change. So that part of the process, yeah, I don't
Yeah.
agree with that part, but.
Same. I don't think that we need to refer anything. I mean, I think there are certain areas where, sure, we could, but I don't think it's a necessity to refer anything to the bylaw review committee, especially the way that our charter establishes them. I know some communities do have standing bylaw
Yeah.
committees where all bylaws go to them for, deliberation. That's not how our town government works. Our charter doesn't establish one like that. So it's just not the purpose of our bylaw review committee. Now, does that mean that it's not going to be discussed there? No, it may. It probably
And
will
a change
be.
could come in annual town meeting if this does go to, yeah.
Yeah, I'm in complete agreement with that.
But I want to hear what the discussion is next week.
Yeah. Okay. Hold on, we've got a couple of pages to flip through here. All right, so that was L, and now we're on to M. Notice of town meeting. We voted to include this, and we voted to recommend it 5-0. Any discussion on this bylaw change? All right, not hearing any. Article N, noise ordinance. So I know that the chief of police is reviewing feedback, and this is still being reviewed, and also town council is going through it as well, so.
Yeah, to that, I shared an email in the packet from the police chief, but I just want to, for the public, read some of these thoughts. Okay, so the chief is concerned about unintended consequences, specifically around commercial businesses and as well as landscaping companies. So he has concerns about some of our large commercial properties that run operations overnight during especially the summer months, but some at all times of years. He has concerns about the chiming of this building and whether that would be inadvertently picked up, and some concerns about timing, hours of operation and hours of the time, specifically to avoid the issue of the landscapers with the leaf blowers in the morning. This was an article that was not intended to be overly broad,
Sorry to cut you off. This is creating a quiet hour of 9 PM, correct? As it's written?
Yes.
Yeah.
On
9,
the
7.
weekdays and weekends? See,
So
I have lots of
it's-
questions.
It's not a quiet hour. It's so one of the things that we didn't want to do with the noise ordinance, well, let me start with the problem. So the problem was complaints about activity, and the police did not have a ordinance to enforce, and so it becomes a little bit difficult for them to enforce. What this is not intended to do is to curb this commercial type of noise. You have some noise ordinances in communities that are specifically drafted to affect that commercial noise. It also was not intended to be overly prescriptive where we're getting a decibel meter route. So it was a reasonableness standard from off-property at a certain distance about that noise.
Could this be solved by an HOA bylaw? An HOA setting up fees?
Most residents don't live in an HOA.
Okay.
I have a hard time with this for a lot of different reasons. I hadn't had a chance to really thoroughly read it before this one, but I am completely against the noise ordinance at 9 PM because I think there's going to be a lot of unintended consequences, especially in the summer months, and I have lots of thoughts, but I'll leave it at that for now.
Right.
Yes, so.
I mean, this isn't just about commercial noise.
No, it's not.
No,
No,
it didn't
that's what
start
we're
about-
trying to avoid is the impact to the commercial noise, and it didn't start from commercial noise. I do know that a noise ordinance different than this one was brought up several years ago and did fail at town meeting, pretty resoundingly.
Yep.
So I don't know what the redraft is going to look like.
I also think there should be a public hearing if we're going to be bringing this forward before it goes to town meeting. I think that just us talking about it in this is a huge, in my opinion, a huge deal.
So-
And maybe at the town meeting floor, but I think that this has been a hot topic in our town. So I'm just concerned about this.
I don't disagree that it's controversial. I actually think that this is probably one of the more controversial articles. What I do have concerns about, though, is that when we are picking and choosing which articles are going to have a public hearing and which articles are not, this is, just to illustrate this point, and I'm kind of picking on comments from everybody. Article L, APDC, bylaw. We just talked about one treatment for that article. Article M, notice of town meeting, bylaw. We talked about a different treatment of that article. Article N, bylaw, noise ordinance. We talked about a different treatment. So just in Articles L, M, and N, we've talked about 3 different treatments.
Maybe we need a policy about how
So,
we're going to be doing
so-
these things.
So a bylaw traditionally does not have a public hearing. A zoning act
Got it.
does have a public hearing.
I guess I used that word, but I didn't necessarily mean,
Public hearing has
or
a,
discussion is what I should have said.
okay, because a public hearing does
Sorry,
have
I
a
didn't-
certain
okay.
level of
I didn't
formality.
mean,
Yeah.
I didn't mean a
Like
formal.
information session or something.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah.
Q&A,
I just-
whatever.
Right.
Engagement
forum.
session. Can we, yes.
Yeah.
Forum.
No, I completely agree. I think this is, there's been a lot of talk in other articles for sure, but I actually do think that this is sort of like the sneaky one here that's going to end up being the most controversial one. And I still don't really know where I'm on this one. I understand the reason why it was necessary, and it was truly, an unfortunate situation that we weren't able to enforce because we didn't have something on the books, and that's why it's here. But no, I completely hear you, Amanda, and I agree, so.
I just think
That's where
that
we're
there's
at.
going to be there could be a lot of unintended consequences.
Mm-hmm.
And 150 feet from a property line, I mean, a lot of our houses aren't even that's a pretty, I don't know,
Yeah.
plainly audible at a distance of 150 feet from the property line. You can't have any noise outside of your house after 9 PM if within 150 feet of a property line?
Barking dog.
Wait, that's just, sorry, I don't mean to be.
No, that's okay. I think that there's definitely something that we're trying to craft around. This is an area that definitely unintended consequences are possible. I also think that we have to put some level of discretion on those that are enforcing the bylaw, that they are going to be exercising their discretion as they go out to enforce it. So let's see what town council comes back with for a rewrite, to see if we can contain some of those, but, yeah, I think that there is probably more discussion that's needed on this
Yeah,
article.
for sure.
Is the chief coming next week?
Potentially.
If council is able to do a redraft, and I think this is gonna kind of come down to whether or not, timing, really, on this one.
Could we put this off to the annual town meeting? It seems like there's no chance that this, for a lot of the same concerns I had stated previously, this, I can't imagine.
Yes, you
forming-
can.
Getting this in place and having input from the townspeople, because, that, as to the previous point, that could really, affect everybody in town. If, the APDC affects the people in the APDC, this is the entire town. I mean,
Yeah.
I can't imagine we're going to have a bylaw in place that we could pass at the special town meeting.
Yeah, I understand.
I mean, are we just torturing ourselves, or those crafting the bylaw?
Yeah.
The work, if we're gonna bring a bylaw to the annual town meeting, the work has to be done, whether he drafts it now or he drafts it later.
It just, again, it seems like lack of, public involvement.
This is the process.
Agreed.
This also came organically from the public.
Yeah.
It very much so did.
So, all right.
I think if we have the draft before next week, if the chief, the lieutenant could attend, that might be helpful if we have a
Right.
chance to have those questions.
Yeah, I think, it's really gonna come down to,
Timing, like you said.
council's gonna redraft it. Does that lead to more questions, or does that satisfy? And there's gonna be somewhat of a binary that forms based on that.
All right, so we'll continue this one. Article O, MBTA zoning act compliance. We voted to include it and we voted to defer. Do we want to hold on to our deferral here?
These are the two planning ones?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Until-
Well, hold on.
Until after their public hearing?
Sure. Okay, so that's O and the next one as well. Let's get through these pages. And then Article P, same thing. All right, Article Q, amendments to the salary administration plan, position, titles, and grades, and we have an update for the temporary position for the assessors.
Yes. Give me a moment. So, talked a little bit about that article that was on the May town meeting for the DOR directives, funded at $27,500 for the Board of Assessors to do Phase 1 of the DOR directives. We talked about how we had put that out for an RFP and had no takers, and so there were a couple options. Do we package this as, the full amount that we think it's going to cost and go back out and do an RFP at a higher amount, or is there another way to do this? In talking to Labor Council and knowing kind of what the team's skill set are and what they're looking at, a possible way to resolve this is by adding, in addition to, we had already talked about the conservation agent and land use director, director of planning and economic development on an SAP, adding a title that's very limited, that would be special assistant to the assessor, temporary, on the SAP. This would allow us to hire somebody, and they wouldn't be a contractor. They would be under the control of the town as an employee, but in a temporary capacity. Their grade would be 4 asterisks, which would line up, there's already on that sheet, if you look to the back of this document. Schedule A. Okay, page 16 and 17. On the bottom of page 17, you already have 1 asterisk, 2 asterisk, and 3 asterisks, so this would be to add a 4th asterisk, subject to an employment contract. So, that this would be a very limited special assistant to the assessor, temporary in nature, that's not graded on this traditional grade, based on the nature of their employment with the town. We don't necessarily want them to follow the provisions of the SAP in terms of holiday pay and all that. So the employment agreement, which would cover their working conditions, essentially, it would be an employee doing contract work, but under the control of the town. So we have grappled with how to handle this project. We have put it out for bid and received no bids. And this is a way that we can undertake the work without having to continue down the procurement process of obtaining a contractor through an open procurement.
So walk me through, we can't, the difficulty with hiring an individual under a contract outside of SAP.
I have no mechanism to do it. So if I want to hire somebody, they are either being hired as an employee under the SAP or a collective bargaining agreement, right? Or we're putting this out to bid, we're not hiring them, so we're not exerting the level of control over the person performing the work. They're an independent contractor, and they're bidding on a contract. So it is in that competitive marketplace, following supplies and services contracting, and they're bidding on it. We've tried it. We could try it again at a higher dollar value and see if somebody bids on it, or we can bring this internally, don't RFP it, and do it through an employment agreement.
So you essentially have a contract position in SAP for a defined period of time.
When we have the funds for this?
So there's $27,500 that was appropriated at the Maytown meeting, which we believe is sufficient to at least cover this first part of the task.
Benefits?
No, that's why employment agreement, right? So that we're really defining the terms and conditions of employment. Talk to Mark Terry about Labor Council about how to do this. Do we just say that any employee could be temporary and any employee could be contracted? Well, that certainly, we could argue about why that has some benefits. This is really limited in nature, and so to try to keep it limited in nature, that it's about this one project, we have this need for an employee that's going to be limited in scope.
Unintended consequences if we did it the other way, which seems like to be our theme tonight, if we had it open-ended versus having it
If we go back out, I'm going to need more money. So the 27.5 wasn't enough. And probably we would have to package the whole project. So we would, if we go, and that would be under Article, whatever, so the alternative for this is Article E. So if we go out and we fund that DOR directives at the higher dollar value at the November 18th town meeting, we would craft another RFP, we would put it out, and we would see what happens. And I can't answer that. And so it's just that we don't know what the responses are going to be to an RFP. Does changing the packaging of it, changing the dollar value, changing the scope, does that get anybody to bid on it that didn't bid? Question mark. If the answer is yes, then okay. We just wouldn't have the level of control around them that you would have as an employee, not necessarily fundamentally flawed in that. But if we don't get anybody, we're now looking at, we're back here, and this is Maytown meeting, and the work hasn't happened, and
We're in trouble.
we're getting there.
So this 27.5 is for one piece of the whole deal. So
And to be clear, where that number came from was the interim town manager basically taking a stab at what he thought it may be.
I'm just wondering, for the rest of the DOR directives, do you imagine we're going to have to take the same approach to, and how much would be left?
They are, we can certainly ask the assessor to dig into this more next week when she's here. Some of the work has been done in-house and already is being done in-house. This is particularly around the quantification of the neighborhood codes.
Yeah. Okay. Because I'm worried, if we don't get someone to run for Board of Assessors,
The board themselves would not be undertaking this work.
no, but that whole office will,
Oh,
that whole function will really. And how long do you imagine this contract would be? Do you know?
initially, no more than a year. Initially. And we'll see where,
27.5 for 1 year?
it's not they're not working 40 hours a week, yeah.
Okay.
All right, what do we want to do with this one tonight? Do we want to vote to include it?
Are we ready now, or were you still,
I can,
last time we didn't.
yeah, I mean, it's gonna, so I've talked to council, he might wordsmith language. Really, it's which way do we want to create a temporary position, or do we want to fund a bigger project? I would have,
Seems like the easiest way to do it to me.
there's not, yeah, it's,
Well-
there's not.
We also could
Yeah.
do this and might not get that either.
Correct.
Not fill this position.
Right,
I think we already tried the RFP process. We don't have enough funds for it.
a bigger RFP, we don't have
Right.
funds for, yep.
It's creative.
Yeah, I mean,
Do we want to hold off on voting to include this?
Do you want to hear
tonight?
from the assessor?
Yeah. She's going to be here next week. We can talk to her about this as well.
sure.
Okay.
I didn't mean to just say sure and make that.
Sure.
It's fine.
Unanimous.
Okay.
Next week.
All right, and Article R, Salary Administration Plan Amendments. So we had two discussions last week that we said we were going to pick up today, and I think we have some clarification on. So the first one, we were discussing the grievance process. If someone didn't feel comfortable submitting to the department head, and that language is added back, so whatever was there before, that if they're not comfortable with it, then they can go to the Human Resources Director.
Awesome.
And then the other one was...
Can I ask, sorry,
Sure, go ahead.
which one are we looking at? The one that's
The one that's,
separate, not the one that's in?
yep, this is the whole,
Yes.
the
I
SAP.
had it stuck in my.
Okay.
I thought it
Yeah.
was- ignore me.
And the other one was the one that Amanda brought up regarding promotions. I'm just going to have to find it again.
Yeah, it's section
70 dash, what was it?
11.
11, yes. Okay, so I think if we just continued reading, we would find, so after the change, it also states, they may also receive at the time one or more step rate increases, provided the maximum for the job is not exceeded if the department head recommends that qualifications and performance warrant it, and the town manager approves. So that flexibility seems to already be in there.
Page 6
Yeah.
of the bottom.
So this was the discussion around internal promotion?
Yes.
I mean, internal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it looks like the flexibility is actually already in there.
It was hard to read, I think, the red line with red and blue and different
Yeah.
colors, so.
'Cause I read that multiple times and I don't know how I
Yep.
missed that.
Okay. And I think that was it. Is anyone remembering anything else that we had last week that was still open?
There was a
you-
question on sick leave bank incentives, who else had them?
Oh,
The unions, all unions.
okay. Has anything else changed here substantially that you want to cover for us? Or sorry, Amanda, go ahead.
On the sick leave incentive, what is the clerical union's incentive now? I feel like police and fires, that's a whole separate ballgame when they're on a 24-hour schedule, but,
Give me a sec.
and
What section is that? Do you know?
I think it's 70/20, I'm assuming.
Okay.
Oh,
70/20.
21?
Yeah.
That's weird. So employees who do not use any sick leave within a 6-month period calculated quarterly.
Oh, that might-
Calculating it quarterly for 6 months.
I think that could just
Well,
be.
I think that's a leftover from,
It
it
used to
was
be.
3-month.
Right, now it should be twice a year.
Yeah, so that should be
biannually.
changed.
Yeah.
right?
Give me a sec. I'm in the AFSME.
I know
agreement.
this was something that has come up previously. I'm also curious how many of our SAP members are getting this benefit.
The sick leave incentive.
Yeah, is it, I don't remember.
Yeah.
whether it's widely.
So, in the conversations with staff, this is the biggest area where they have issues with it, especially as articulated staff that does not have as much vacation time. They really use it to boost their vacation time. You know, I think I'm willing to cede the point. I think I've made my point that I think fundamentally incentivizing not using sick leave in exchange for personal days is not what sick leave is for. I don't like the incentivization of people potentially coming to work sick. I think that there's remedies for sick leave abuse. Nonetheless, all that said, it certainly feels like, at least to some, that something's being taken away. I'm willing to cede the point.
It's
To
like
be-
what's in the clerical one, because.
I'm trying to pull it up, to bring this up at a later discussion topic, if that helps. And Amanda, let me ask, I have the older one. Do you know when, unless it's, I go to my office, do you know if that was in the last iteration?
Whether
The
it's-
23 version, or was that a new ad? Otherwise, I'm going to go grab it from my
No,
desk.
it was not a new ad. That's been in there. Unless they changed something, it's been in there.
I'm not control Fing incentive. Okay, it's just a bad control F. Let me check quarter. Okay. 3-month period, 1 additional day for each quarter.
Okay.
So that's,
Oh, we did change it.
So it's the same.
Wait, is it 3? Is it 3?
employees who do not use any sick leave within a 3-month period will be entitled to 1 additional personal day for each such quarter. So it's quarterly.
Is that the current contract?
This is the 2023. I can go grab the current one.
It might have gone down to 3 times a year instead of quarterly.
Let me see the MOU.
I don't know whether that actually happened or not, but that was a discussion that got brought up. Not that it,
And now we're saying twice a year in here.
yeah, I just would like to keep things the same on this. I think those 2 units are similar, and I don't really want to have one different from the other at this point.
Yeah, I can understand wanting consistency. And I'm also okay with scrapping this, if this is the,
MOA.
sticking point in all the changes in here. So that's where I'm at on this one in particular.
Sick leave, okay. I'm looking at the most recent MOA.
I don't either, yeah. I think I have.
It doesn't look like it got changed in the last
Okay,
MOA.
then it might have been taken off the table. So then I would say we leave it as is personally.
Okay. Yeah, I'm fine with that too.
I don't know how other members feel about it.
Wait, 3 months or every 3 months or 6 months?
It's 3
It'd be
months.
3 months.
Right now.
Okay.
Leave it as,
Leave it
So-
as is
as-
for
So,
3 months.
okay. Ignore these changes then.
Right.
Okay. Got it.
Okay. All right. Keep as is.
I still think it's wrong.
I know, I agree with your
I know,
argument. I do.
yeah.
All right, any other changes in here that you want to highlight?
So for all the previous reasons, I don't need to go through.
Hold on, we'll get there, don't worry.
Yes, so, minor. There was a change in a clarification language in 70-3, qualifying language that I had added. I took it out. I don't think it's necessary. I think the original language read fine. It was about the position of all employees, and then it was, comma, characterized as part-time A, part-time B, full-time. I think it's fine the way it stood, so I backed off of that. And then we made the change about if you don't feel comfortable going to your department head and you have a grievance, what to do. I had a pretty open-ended opportunity for folks to come in and talk. I did have one person that came in and wants us to craft some clarity around the grievance procedure. If they are, many members of the SAP are department heads, so all the language around grievance and that they need to go to their department head, or if there's discipline, department head, that we should clarify, what if you are the department head? And so that was a good point. I think we can add that in easily. I think that's it from anything really substantively. I know there was some discussion about whether or not we want to bifurcate this article into one or more pieces.
Yep.
I didn't really want to undertake that effort without knowing for sure what folks wanted to do.
All right, Glenn, go ahead. You were going to say something.
Just relative to the Personnel Committee, not to indicate my position either way, the arguments to eliminating it have quite a bit of impact on me. I see the relevance, specifically with the lack of membership of that board, but for all those previous issues I mentioned earlier for previous, like APDC and whatnot, I just think it's premature and lack of input from the public. So I think it's a little premature.
And what in particular in this article, though?
Just is this talking about separating the abolishment of the Personnel Committee?
Okay. Is that what you're really talking about here, that you think it's premature? Is it the Personnel Committee part, or are there other substantive things in the article?
Predominantly the Personnel Committee, yes.
Okay, understood. All right. Well, I'll be honest.
Acknowledging the fact the Bylaw Review Committee is not going to review it.
Sure.
So
they may.
Stipulate to that.
Personally, I think what's really important to bring before voters at this town meeting is the vacation and the sick leave, and actually changing that. And I do believe that we need to act with urgency on that. The Personnel Committee stuff, honestly, to me, that's not a priority for this article, at least in my opinion. So we can have the conversation about whether or not that needs to be a part of it, or if we want to split it out, or if we don't want to include it at all. I think we can have that conversation.
Yeah, this one's a little bit different in that this has actually been on town meeting floor, and I have made amendments trying to fix the issues. So, yeah, I'm fully behind fixing those issues, 100%.
Perfect. All right, where are other members at?
I think we should split
Okay.
the Personnel Committee from the other SAP amendments. I think that split makes sense. It's a lot to put in one article, and that seems like a division that makes sense to me. I think if we do that, we need to present the changes in SAP. Like, just call them out to make it clear what the changes are, instead of, I don't know if we're planning on sharing, I don't even know which document it is anymore.
The
whole, yeah.
Summary.
The whole, what happened to it?
Give the computer people paper.
Yeah.
I know.
Did you take it?
Take what? What did I take?
Nothing.
That one. The one.
This one
That's that one.
that I wrote on? Oh, yeah, this one. Yeah, thank you.
70-1. 70-2.
She needs this.
So one answer is, I think,
That time.
breaking it into two makes sense to me, having the Personnel Committee and,
Is that what you need?
no, I've got it all. It was sitting right in front of me. Brian pointed it out. That seems like splitting it that way.
Okay.
Makes sense to me.
I would agree with Member Emke. I think there's going to be people who are concerned about the Personnel Committee. I personally support all the changes, but I think that's maybe a bigger fight and a harder vote
Yeah.
for the public.
Yeah. No, I understand, and I can get on board with that as well. Amanda, where are you at on this?
I think that's probably the best idea. I'm supportive of all of the changes. I think I've been pretty vocal about that, but again, like you said, I think the most important changes are the ones for the employees. Are there things in here for you that, not employee-related, but the Personnel Committee or other changes that are more important than others that we should be emphasizing? I mean, it looks like a lot of changes, so I think however we present this needs to be.
I think that the biggest issues are bringing the SAP into the 21st century. I think that you have seen that we are not competitive and we do not do a good job retaining. But even more so, the treatment of new employees under the SAP makes it very difficult to recruit. So for me, I think that is this was driven largely from the discussions that happened here with this board in response to feedback that you've heard about employees. That's the most important to me. I think that, the Personnel Committee, I think that, there certainly could be additional discussion that happens on it. Frankly, if I'm going to be honest, I've been accused of engaging in a power grab. It behooves me to stay silent on this issue. So let me be clear. Right now, other than hiring above a step 4, there is no Personnel Committee. The town manager decides it all. It behooves me, Jennifer Warren Diamond, to stay silent on this issue. It does not benefit the town of Lunenburg to continue in this manner. That said, if folks need more time with that thought and more time to discuss how that looks, that's fine. I think that there's, in the document that was put together about the personnel board and about personnel boards, I think there's folks who we rely on for expertise, like the Division of Local Services, who have spoken pretty clearly to the issue. I think that people's personal experiences have spoken to the issue. That said, I don't want to throw out the baby with the bathwater. I think that's really important, that this was being driven by, the need to address the employee concerns. So that's primary. I do think that if we bifurcate the articles, there's one piece that we're going to want to carry and into both, and that's in the absence of the Personnel Committee language to give what happens if. So there's at least one area that nothing can happen, and that's hiring above a step 4 in the absence of a Personnel Committee. Can't do it. Unless we're doing it with an employment agreement, that's the only way to do it. There is a hard line. So that, I think you're going to want to give the option that in the absence of a Personnel Committee, hiring above a step 4 could be decided by this board.
Right.
What if 70-12, paragraph A,
That's the part that she was just talking about.
yeah, if we deleted that last sentence?
It's fine by me. But I think that the concern, though, again, fine by me, but I think that the concern, you're going to have those same folks in the community that are concerned about the other issues, concerned about the deletion of that language. So,
But in one of my motions or amendments on town meeting floor a year or so ago, I think I actually spoke to that. Like, we should be able to entrust our town manager, the chief executive officer of the town, to hire somebody within the appropriate pay range. Like, if you hired somebody you had 3 years of, experience and put them in at step 8, well, then it's not going to reflect very well on you.
Right. Although there are, depending on market conditions, you might be doing
Yeah,
that,
right. I mean,
So
but you would explain it. So,
I-
I'm not worried. I'm open to hearing
I think a
feedback.
way that we could fix 7-12A, if we retain the language, the Personnel Committee must formally vote to approve any proposal by the town manager to pay the new employee above the step 4. If, in the absence of a quorum of the Personnel Committee, or if the there's language elsewhere in the SAP that speaks to, in the absence of a Personnel Committee, using that same language, if the Personnel Committee cannot convene, this may be approved through action by this board. That gives that kind of secondary, I thank you for the vote of confidence, but it does give that secondary layer of approval that a lot of members of the public do want to see. And I don't have an issue with that. I just think that we want that flexibility
And these are the
regardless.
things that are making it difficult by splitting it apart. But I think it makes more sense because
Well, because otherwise it all sinks or it all,
right.
and then to sacrifice,
Right.
some of the
Right.
employee benefits. So that would mean the Personnel Committee article should go first.
No, we can,
I don't think it really matters.
I think,
Well-
I think that we can pick up that one piece in the absence of the Personnel Committee in both versions.
Right.
Or in just the other version. Oh, I see what if you're referring to something that.
If the Personnel Committee goes away.
Okay.
It simplifies the SAP, the next article, the language.
Yeah. So, we should, let's discuss that, because we may end up, if there is consternation around this, bringing a lot of that dialogue into town meeting right before and folks not seeing that this one may be a little bit controversial and we want to discuss. You don't want that to bleed into the one that we want. that
I
you
almost thought
need.
the other way. Let's vote for the employees and then get into the,
So maybe
Personnel
maybe
committee.
vet that out and.
Can the SAP changes be amended on the town meeting floor?
So any article as drafted may be amended through the motion on town meeting floor, provided that the motion gives enough, that the warrant article gave enough room that somebody could contemplate that action being taken at town meeting. So something, a quick change in language that, around that specific piece.
Changes.
Absolutely.
Out of 3 months, 6 months, something?
Yep.
Okay.
All right, so it sounds like we do want to split these two. So we're going to have to redraft that, and we'll revisit it next week. Is there any other parts in here that we want to discuss tonight?
Just a question with 70-20, the sick leave.
Sick leave bank,
Should it, paragraph E,
oh, E.
Yeah.
should it be 3 consecutive days of work?
Yes.
Like, it's not, if you have three sick days throughout a month.
Yeah, no,
separate it.
you're 3 consecutive. Yep.
Okay.
And just as a comment, I think it's 3 days, and I know it's in at least one other contract, but to require, I know it's it's the discretion of the town, but to demand or request a doctor's note after 3 days seems pretty tough. Like, who goes?
It's pretty standard.
Yeah?
Yeah, that's,
Even in
3 days is
private,
the
yeah.
pretty standard, yeah.
So how do you determine if someone's out for 3 days? Do you every time someone's out sick for 3 days, you ask for?
No, really,
That's a discretionary.
yeah.
Yeah, so what do you use to determine?
may require.
Yeah, it's may, for sure, but,
Yeah, so circumstances around what the supervisor knows about the illness,
Yeah.
what the supervisor knows about the employee's use of sick time, what they
it
know.
seems short, but, and is that at the town's expense?
The doctor's note? No, that's the employee obtaining a doctor's note.
If they add 3 sick days onto every holiday weekend, you might want to add.
Yeah.
Right.
There are flags. And now most
Yeah.
doctors do telehealth. I mean, it's not
Yeah.
an onerous thing.
All right, anything else?
So we're not voting on anything tonight for these?
We
Voting
have to
to
split
include
them.
Or,
Yeah, we need to split them though, so no. All right, and that was the last article. All right, moving on. Discussion on tri-board meeting of the Select Board, Finance Committee, and School Committee. Any discussion on this tonight?
do we know when our next tri-board will be?
No, it will be at the end of November.
It's Thanksgiving.
I don't know.
Thanksgiving is on,
The
No.
very, very end. Thanksgiving's
Yeah.
at the absolute end of November.
It's the
this year.
Thursday, it's the
27th.
week after town meeting.
right,
Yeah, it might be that,
Seven.
it might be earlier in that week.
yeah, that week.
It's possible, for the tri-board, it's possible. We don't have a date, so.
Yeah, I'm just thinking a lot of people travel
Right.
that week, so.
And I also don't want to do it the same week as this day after town meeting
Oh,
either,
God, no.
so, or that week.
thank
So, yeah, we'll have to look at that. All right, minutes. Have we reviewed the minutes for September 23rd, 2025?
Yes.
Any feedback? Is there a motion to approve the minutes?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes from September 23rd, 2025.
Second.
Any additional discussion? Those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, no. Motion passes unanimously. Warrants. We have an accounts payable warrant in the amount of $1,613,540.86.
This accounts payable, is what you said?
Yes. Any action items?
Do we have any money to get new chairs?
Sure. Yes. They're
New
pretty,
chairs.
they're pretty bad.
Yeah. I had to swap this one out because that one over there.
Yeah, some of them
All
don't.
messed
Some of them
up.
go up
Yeah.
enough
This
for us
one is
short
just
people.
Really,
My preference is Herman Miller.
Oh, okay. It's noted. I'll check
that-
Brimfield for you.
Any other action items? All right, committee reports.
Pass.
The school committee's meeting tomorrow, the Board of Assessors is meeting Thursday. The Board of Assessors is still looking for one member. That's all I got.
Finance Committee met last week. They had their first initial discussion on the warrant articles. They didn't take any votes. They'll be voting at a future meeting. Tri-board, no, so they mentioned the tri-board meetings. They asked if they could get presentations prior to those tri-board meetings in advance, ideally before their FinCom meeting, but that would be like 2 weeks in advance, I don't know. And they will be scheduling a public hearing, and I think you said it was November 13th now?
That's what I
Okay.
heard
Okay.
tentatively. from-
Okay, they didn't have a date last week. And I think Stormwater is supposed to meet this week, but I don't know if the agenda's been posted, so we may not be meeting. That's it.
Did you have any, Glenn?
No, I passed. I got a couple of upcoming meetings.
Okay, gotcha. Council on Aging met this morning. We had an initial introduction of the bylaw review process. So their next meeting, they'll be reviewing the Council on Aging bylaw. The Eagle House Supporters is going to be hosting a Festival of Trees event. So basically what you can do is purchase a tree, decorate it, and then donate to them. And there's going to be a viewing event that'll be at the Adult Activity Center on Friday, November 21st. And it's their first real fundraiser that they're doing. There's an update on the Satellite Health Center that's going in Groton. So they recently broke ground and are anticipating opening potentially in late 2026, maybe early 2027. They still have to go and get DPH approval as well, but they're beginning construction on that. There was a discussion on potentially exploring assistance for safe shower installation for seniors, but it was pretty much just an idea that the chair had posed that she had thought of. And there was also a discussion on the bill for caregivers that was filed by Representative Kushmerek for pretty much refundable tax credits up to $1,500 to family caregivers. And those are pretty much the highlights. Upcoming meetings, so we are meeting next week, October 21st. Public comment, is there any public comment from the public? Ms. Lockwood?
Good evening, Anna Lockwood, 91 Main Street. So today I was talking with a friend, and this person said something that it's a great quote. I'm going to start using it. That government in Lunenburg has always been very close to the people, and I think that's something we want to preserve. And what I think the person meant was, the citizens of Lunenburg are part of every aspect of the government, which is a great way to think of it. The bylaw review process is intended to allow substantive changes of the bylaws while allowing for public input and feedback. So while we can change bylaws and amend them, and I think we have routinely done that, I think any meaningful bylaw changes or charters, that has always been held at the bylaw review or charter review. And this has always been more than checking a box on the process. I mean, I remember many meetings that Amanda's mom has been here doing charrettes or something of that nature for different things, and that has been standard for many versions of Select Board. And within the conversation that you all have had about, putting a bylaw, putting a town meeting warrant article in the town meeting, I heard the conversation earlier, but, if a bylaw, if a change that affects residents have not been sufficiently vetted, you have the right to send that back to the committee, propose and say, this has simply not been vetted enough. And that happened with the Community Preservation Act in 2019. The Select Board did not add it to the town meeting. It was a proposal by the Historical Commission. They said, there's just not been enough. We haven't communicated. We haven't done the proper due diligence. And I think that is a lot of, there are some very meaningful warrants that you guys are adding to the town meeting warrant that I don't feel has had that public input. And I'm glad the Personnel Committee, the elimination of the Personnel Committee has been separated from the changes. With all due respect, Jennifer Warren, Diamond, that's your proposal, but the proposal that I think Lunenburg and the residents can have might look a little different than it was if we're given the time and the process to have proper feedback. And I feel pretty strong about that. The APDC, while they have been trying to talk about this change that affects so many residents, affects people's ability to use their property, affects people's ability to use, renovate, it has a significant cost associated with how the bylaw is approved. While they have talked, there's not been a single charrette, conversation, listening session about that bylaw. Like, all these residents in the town, in the village district, have not been invited to give a feedback and say, hey, y'all, what do you think about that? And I think that's a big failure. So working on something for 2 years, which is not 2 years, by the way, the APDC voted to request this town meeting warrant December of '24, not 2 years ago. And it was a meeting that they only had 3 members and not 4. And since then, they voted to actually request the bylaw review, to go through the bylaw review, which I thought was wise because it allows for public participation, allows for public to come and give input. What do you think about this and why not? So I'll leave that with that. I don't think the public, the residents of the village district have been given enough opportunity to give feedback on how they feel about this, on top of everything else that I have mentioned on the emails that I've been sending this board since the spring of this year. And despite that, nothing has been had. The public noise bylaw, interesting, we have had one that failed town meeting a few years ago. I publicly spoke against it, and I remember actually Amanda's mom was with me on that. And that bylaw was vetted. We did have public hearing sessions in this building with the chief of police, because that was a bylaw that was proposed by the chief of police, and it failed even with that. So, and Jen, you said one thing that really for me was like a huge red flag. I think Amanda mentioned something about, enforcement, and you said, exercise, the people responsible for discretion. For enforcement will have, exercise discretion on enforcement. That is such a red flag. Like, that is like inviting calls to the police department. I don't like my neighbor, I'm going to call because I hear something from my property. I briefly read that by law. I haven't really discussed it, but again, so I invite you all to keep Lunenburg, government close to the people, and beyond the public hearing, to effectively do more public hearing sessions. If a proposed bylaw that affects residents has not been sufficiently vetted, by simply inviting the residents to be part of that discussion, send it back and just say it. That's your right to do it. So I feel a little more positive about today's discussion than last meeting. I felt like last meeting everything was read and put in the warrant without, proper history of Lunenburg, of just listening to residents and inviting them to participate on that. And I hope that continues. And last week, I was right. I don't think you had public comment in the beginning of the meeting when I came. So I ask you to please continue with public comment in the beginning of the meetings. There are a lot of people that want to participate. And yes, I'm here, but I don't think the SLAC board has its bylaws, and it says, we want to encourage comment and participation from the public. So I hope we can continue with that. So thank you very much.
All right, is there any other public comment from the public? Any public comment from the town manager?
No.
Any public comment from the board?
Nope.
All right, I move to enter into executive session and... What?
I forgot. We all wanted adjournment.
I was like, look, I'm all packed up. I also forgot, I know.
I was about to make a motion to adjourn.
Sorry, guys, but I move to enter into executive session and not re-enter into open session pursuant to MGL Chapter 30, Section 21A3, to discuss strategy with respect to litigation if an open meeting may have a detrimental effect on the litigating position of the public body and the chair so declares, and this is for the Department of Industrial Accidents claim.
Second.
This will be a roll call vote. Glenn?
Aye.
Brian?
Aye.
Renee?
Aye.
Amanda?
Aye.
And an aye for myself. It is 9:17 p.m. and we are now in executive session. We're not going to return to open session, so I'm going to say now to everyone watching tonight, have a good night, and we'll see you next week.